we really haven't had a gay stew since like Josiah on Below Deck way back when, more or less. You know, like, was that a part of your decision? Like, how common is like a gay stew in the real world? And like, was that part of your decision, like to show representation on TV?
You know what? As much as I'd like to say yes, it's absolutely not the case. I don't look at my sexuality more than I look at, you know, what cologne I'm wearing. It has no interest. I don't think I should be like, you know, the speaker of all gays. I don't want to represent anyone but myself, and good grief, if I tried to do that, I'd probably be cancelled. But I'm glad we have such a mixed crew. I'm glad that there's another gay guy on a TV show. It's fantastic. It's really cool. It doesn't happen in Yachting very often, so I'm glad, I guess, I got picked out for that. But yeah, I don't have too much of an opinion on it, but I'm very pleased that I'm around, I guess.
Is that true though? Like in the yachting world, it's still like old school, like where like
hugely so.
They choose.
It's definitely changing. Sorry, it's definitely improving, but it's still very traditional, very old school, and very homophobic and racist. You know, it's not a very nice place for it. I think it's more so on the larger vessels, maybe with like the older crew. You know, seafarers and sailors haven't got the best name for themselves. They're also referred to as sea rats, which is entirely the case at sometimes. But I've experienced some homophobia for sure. But I shrug it off. And as I said, if I didn't shrug it off, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right. That's the thing. Because I've had other people like Below Deck, past and present on the show, and just I've heard stories, right? Because like you're working there and like it's their charter, so they feel entitled to say or do all sorts of things. And you just have to kind of keep it to yourself at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've never experienced it from guests. I think my guests are from a level of intelligence not to ever do that. However, it's the crew, you know, it's the old-fashioned engineers, it's the old school yachties that haven't got their head around it.
Interesting. Well, that's why Bravo is so great, because they do such a great, you know, like on all their shows, like of diversity and inclusion across the board. And I mean, that's the impression I got of like the yachting industry, of like where it was in the real world, kind of.
Right.
That's what I thought. What was the funnest part of being a part of the show? Like this charter season?
Do you know what? First of all, being able to film and do something so amazing during somewhat of a pandemic was incredible. Again, I'm just so impressed by the production side of things. I'm impressed by the team, you know, how well we stuck to COVID regulations, how often we were tested. The organization was beyond me, and me being a little bit of a control freak, seeing organization at that sort of mass and that magnitude of a scale turned me on.
Do you feel like change? Like, do you feel like your work ability in the real world has now changed from being like a part of this show? Like, have you learned anything, like just from a professional point of view? Like, do you feel like you're a changed worker now?
Hugely so. I learned so much from Heather, and I'm inherently grateful to her. Her attitude, you know, her energy. I'd never made a drink before I joined that bloody boat. So the fact now I have such a passion for mixology is amazing. And I'm a chief stew on my boat now, and I'm able to partake in all of those things. And it was a huge learning curve. I'm very grateful for the whole experience, honestly.
Has it like filtered over into the real world? Like when you do charters now, do people say like, oh, wait, are you that guy from Below Deck?
Thankfully, I haven't done any charters since it's come out. I do worry that it's going to impact my career. I really don't want it to, but you know, it's something I've signed up to, so I need to be responsible for my actions.
But it'll probably impact it in like a good way. I mean, you do work on this season. You are portrayed as a hard worker.
I mean, that's definitely my opinion, but it's not everyone's.
It's my opinion.
Well, that's very kind.
No, it's true. Well, you also opened up that, you know, this whole kiss with Jake brought up, you know, just that you were in a relationship for a long time with someone older and it didn't end well. And like, you were gutted, and, you know, it's hard to put yourself out there, which it is. I agree. So now that you're on this show, like, how has it been? Like, are people slipping into your DMs? How's that going?
Yeah, my DMs actually have gone crazy, but I don't. With good stuff and bad stuff. But I haven't been on any dates from being on the show, and I most certainly wouldn't like that anyway. I'd rather meet someone and someone get me to know me for who I am, as opposed to me being on TV that someone's seen 10% of my personality.
That's true. That's very commendable. Has anyone, not even from like a dating point of view, but like just in general, slipped into your DMs, like from the Bravo world, just like, did you watch Bravo like from before this? Like, were you familiar with like Housewives and all of this?
Definitely familiar with it all, but we don't have Bravo in the UK or in Europe, so it's very difficult to access the stuff. The stuff I get on Netflix, I did partake a little bit in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Lisa is obviously my queen. But no, in terms of the alumni below deck, I've spoken to quite a few. I've spoken to Kate, I've spoken to Hannah Ferrier, I've spoken to Courtney, both Courtneys, and Izzy, and that's it. But yeah, here and there. I'm not spoken to Josiah yet, but I feel like we will at some point.
What has Kate said, like, as far as how you're doing?
She was amazing. I was such a fangirl. So as soon as she got in touch, I was like, oh my God, this is real now. And yeah, she's a fan. And I was like, I'm so pleased that you actually like me. Like, it means so much. The OG, one of the OGs, both her and Hannah, actually knows who I am and appreciates my work and thinks I'm funny. Like, what more could you ask for?
You are funny. I mean, if you could work with any of the chief stews, like say you were going to come back to Below Deck next season, and it could be, you could work with Heather, Kate, or Hannah as your chief stew.
God,
who would you choose?
Good question. Oh God, it's gonna be surprising, but I'd work with Heather.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
You'll have to see in the rest of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a teaser like no other.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Lisa Vanderpump your queen? I mean, I'm not arguing with that.
No, she's so beautiful. She's so well put. She speaks so well. She's a gorgeous property. You know what? My dream job would be to manage her household or be her head butler. Just planting that seed right there. I feel like we'd get along like a house on fire.
Well, you would have the swan, where would you be able to put up with like the swans and all the pets and all of that? Could you wrangle all of them?
I've been compared to a swan many a time, so yes.
I can see that. How would you, well, maybe now that you're on this podcast, we can put out to the world that you would like to manage Lisa Vanderpump's house.
Absolutely. The whole wealth, actually, not just the house. We can make that bigger, all of the houses. And be best friend too, if that's part of the job description as well.
I think it might be. How would you go about like the first day of working for Lisa Vanderpump and managing, let's just say,
well, first of all, we'd go for a rosé, and we'd look at some French rosés, and we'd probably get the Grus, which is by Chateau d'Escange. She would know. And then we'd sit, we'd wine, we'd have a few giggles, compliment each other's outfits, go back to hers, check out the swans. The deal would be done, and then I'd just come back in a week or so, and we just start from there. And then we didn't have to chat about it. It would be so natural. Don't even need a job description. I know what to do already, Lisa. Boom.
I could see this. I mean, you would have to wear pink for the interview, of course. Like you'd want the job.
Obviously, without a doubt.
Let's just put that out there into the world.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm ready for that.
Has anyone else like slipped into your DMs? Like anyone, like Rihanna loves the Housewives. She's slipping into like housewife DMs all the time. Like, has anyone like from the real world, like just of fame, and you're like, oh my God, this person knows who I am?
Do you know what, David? They absolutely have not. So can we get that seed planted too? Let's get some DMs over to Fraser. He's waiting and he's excited but nothing at all. Like, I know we're on like episode 6 only, but nothing special has happened in my life just yet.
I was just going to say we're only on episode 6, and I'm just here trying to help you. I'm just putting it all out there into the world.
I'm gonna be in touch with you more often, David. You're my fan favorite.